Welcome back to the fourth and final qualifying event for the Championship Racing Series Season 1. And let's take a look at our top 16. With just 8 drivers left to qualify, the top 8 here are guaranteed a spot in the playoff. Here's a quick recap of our scoring system before we head into our driver introductions. And our first driver for Group 1 is Albert Fields in his Aston Martin V8 Vantage. Up next, we got Bruce Sakai in his 2017 Nissan GT-R. Followed by Charles Richards in his Porsche 935. And finally, we got Lenny Matthews in his Honda Civic Si. Alright, our drivers are at the top. Let's see if these guys can get themselves into the playoffs. Richards and Matthews in the front. Matthews with a slight lead, increasing it around turn 1. Matthews looking good into turn 2. And he decides to go bushwhacking and launches himself into a tree. Meanwhile, Sakai taking the lead, looking good and coming home in first. Followed by Richards and Fields. Matthews was looking really good, but lost control around that slight turn, hit that tree, and down into the pits of despair he went. Back to the top, we got Fields and Richards up front, Matthews on the back right. Let's see if he can make a comeback and at least finish the race here. Looks like a pretty even hole shot with Richards around turn 1, but here comes Fields taking the lead. Bellany with a few car lengths, but here comes Richards and Matthews in the back trying to find a passing lane. Richards almost overtaking Fields, but Fields able to hold him off for first. Richards taking second, Matthews in third, and Sakai in fourth. What a battle at the end. We are set for race number 3. It's a very close race. We got Fields up by 2 points. Him and Sakai up in the front. Let's see. Looks like Sakai with a slight hole shot, but Fields smooth around turn 1, taking the lead into turn 2. And Matthews almost turning into a tree trimmer again. Meanwhile, Fields with a nice 180 to finish, taking first. And Sakai unable to make that final turn, allowing Matthews to pass him for second. Now with that win, Fields gives himself a nice safety margin with the other 3 in a tight race. Matthews and Sakai up front, here we go. Fields climbing the curb, Sakai and Matthews even out of turn 1. Matthews taking the lead. This will be some much needed points for him if he can hang on. Final turn, and he does. He takes first, followed by Sakai and Fields in a close third. And Chucky knows it's over for him, so he decides to turn into Donkey Kong and hurls a barrel down at the bottom, hoping to take someone out. But no such luck for him, as he is pretty much eliminated. And here's your final results. Alright, let's get into our next group of drivers. We got Dean Kowalski in his Camaro Z28. Next up, we got Mark Wright in his Corvette C6R. Followed by Joseph Osborne in his 2010 Ford Shelby GT500. Finally, Ace Johnson in his Subaru WRX STI. Alright, it looks like 2 drivers from our first group have made it into the playoffs, but that could change depending on what this group does. Let's see. With Kowalski and Johnson up front, Johnson coming out turn 1 with the lead. He's pulling ahead. And there goes Wright, wrong side up. And Johnson up front with a lead, almost sabotaged with those barrels, but he will still finish and take first, followed by Osborne. Now let's take a look at what happened to Kowalski. Wright just unable to make turn 2. Kowalski's rear end just slides out from under him, sending him into the barricades there, dropping barrels below. Johnson says, "Get out of my way. I'm still taking first." Okay, so Johnson taking first, Wright and Kowalski unable to finish. We got Osborne and Kowalski up front on this one. Let's go. Osborne with a slight hole shot, but it's a back and forth battle around turn 1. Osborne taking the lead into turn 2. It looks like a smooth cruising from here. Kowalski going upside down. Johnson passing him. Osborne in first, Johnson in second, Wright coming in third. Now let's take a look at the replay here. Kowalski looking good around this turn, but he ends up taking that turn too early, and he sends himself upside down, head over heels, and ends up giving up an easy second place. right, Johnson and Osborne tied for first. Kowalski still unable to capture any points. Wright and Osborne up front here. Let's see what they do. Osborne taking the lead around turn 1 here. Looks like he's up in front and not looking back. He's been driving really well this race. Barring any mistake, will easily take first, followed by Wright, Johnson, and finally Kowalski finishes. Excellent driving here by everyone, but man, Osborne is looking unstoppable for this past 2 races. All right, Osborne sitting on 70 big points here. With a first place finish here, he could take the #1 seed from D's Nuts. Let's see if he can do it. Wright holding up Osborne, Johnson sliding in a second. Wright still up in front. Let's see if he can hold on here. He brake checks Johnson. Coming around the final turn, he hangs on for first. Johnson not letting Osborne pass. And Kowalski once again in fourth. So Osborne unable to take that #1 seed away from D-Snuts, but he guarantees himself a spot in the playoffs. And your final score for group number 2. Osborne with a huge 87, Johnson with 82, both securing playoff spots. Wright could be in, but let's bring up our overall scoreboard and take a look. And surprise, surprise, with just 2 spots left in the playoffs, we have a 3-way tie, which means we will go into a race-off to see who gets those final 2 spots. Each driver will get a solo run. Fastest 2 times will take those 2 final playoff spots. And Marvin Wolf is ready to go in his 2019 Kia Stinger GT. He will set the pace, and let's see how well he does. Looks like a very smooth run so far by Wolf. And with no other drivers bumping into him, he's making quick work of this track. Great time. We'll see if anybody else can beat him. And Wolf turning in a 12.655 second run. Really good time on this track. As we take you back to the top, Lenny Matthews is waiting to run in his Honda Civic Si. We'll see how well he does, but I believe Marvin Wolf has set the bar pretty high. He had a slight gribble there around turn 2, will slow his time down a little. As he skids and loses traction, it takes away precious time, but the main thing is he finished. And he turns in a 13.417. So not quite as fast or smooth of a run as Wolf, but the main thing is he finished. And Mark Wright is ready to go, and he has to beat a 13.417 to get a spot into the playoffs. Let's see if he can do it. His qualifying runs weren't the fastest, as he takes a really slow turn around turn 2. That'll put a ding in his time. And it's not looking like a very promising run here for Mark Wright. As he crosses the finish line, he gets a 15.303. Not good enough to enter the playoffs. He is eliminated. Which means Marvin Wolf with the faster time earned the 15th seed, and Matthews with the last and final 16th seed. So the stage is set for our playoffs. Here is our semifinal bracket. We will be using the same scoring system as the qualifying rounds, and the 2 highest scores from each group will advance to the next quarterfinal round. So we will see you on our next episode with groups 3 and 4 battling it out. Until then, thank you for joining us, and we hope to see you next time for more racing action.